So good afternoon. Today's Tuesday, September 29th, 2020. The time is 2:03 p.m. Calling this meeting to order. It is the weekly meeting. This is our business meeting, which of course we conduct on a weekly basis. I'm officially calling this meeting to order. Attending are Commissioners Duncan, Brooks, and Filios. And I'm going to ask, Julaine, you're going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance today. How's that? Yes, ma'am.
Oh, just wherever.
You're fine.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. Okay then, so our first item is the consent calendar.
I disagree with one item, but I will not hold it up. So
Which one is it?
Which one is it?
memorandum of agreement with IDEQ. It's the NAS study.
Oh, the National Academy of Sciences study.
I understand.
Okay.
I understand.
Understood, so noted, okay.
Yep. I move that we approve the consent calendar as listed on our business meeting agenda for September 29th, 2020.
I second the motion. Aye.
Aye.
Aye, and the motion is carried. Moving on to the payables list.
I move that we approve the payables for the week of September 21st through the 25th, 2020, in the amount of $629,108.92.
I second the motion. Aye.
Aye.
Aye, and the motion is carried. Do we have any changes to the agenda?
Item 6.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's
sir.
just an addition, if you want to.
Yeah, well, Stephen called airport director, and he said it's not TO Engineers, it's with Idaho Fence. And the paperwork, the backup bears that out.
Okay.
It's just, somebody saw.
Commissioners, I'm going to recommend that be continued next week then, because I don't think it's agenda properly.
Stephen, is that going to cause a crisis on your end?
Yeah, is that a problem?
It may. We anticipate starting soon. We're running out of season, but if the board would like to wait, we don't anticipate a start date until the 12th. We should be fine, actually.
Okay.
Okay, so we will defer item 6 to next week. We'll continue that. Thank you. Okay, item number 1, I'm sorry, okay, so that's it. So we have no other changes. Moving on to the action items. Item number 1, bid opening 2020-06, purchase of Brown and Justice Building, Board of County Commissioners. This is the bid for the proposed building here on campus. Is that correct?
No, this is the Romer Hamilton House.
Oh,
Yeah.
Brown, forgive me.
Come on, keep up.
That's okay.
Well,
Let's
it's
just
been
move on.
Romer, it's been Hamilton, and Brown with the, never
Yes.
mind, sorry about that, okay.
So we received a bid. So I will go ahead and open this. All right, Tyler Scott and the Music Conservatory of Coeur d'Alene hereby submit a bid for the purchase of said property. And the price of the bid is $500,001. And I will move that we acknowledge receipt of the bid and that it be forwarded to legal to determine bid responsiveness.
Are there any other conditions to the bid?
So
I'd like those read into the record if there are.
So you mean specifically whether it's cash or loan commitment?
yeah. All right, so we have, I'm not sure how much we want to.
There may be a question of confidentiality, is,
Yeah, so, It is going to be, it looks like a cash down payment, and it looks like that there is a secured loan.
How much cash
Ma-
down payment?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. It's not. Looks like 100,000 in cash to start, and it looks like the rest will be coming in. I don't know. Just that last paragraph there.
It looks like the proposal is 100,000 down payment, an installment contract carried by the county for the balance.
Mm-mm.
With interest-only payments each month at 4%.
That's not what I was looking for.
We're not a bank.
The county's not going to hold a note.
That's the proposal, is for the county to carry the note.
Okay. So, I still recommend that we receive the bid and it be reviewed by legal to determine bid responsiveness.
Fair enough. But legal still has to review the bid.
Yeah.
I want to reject the bid.
Counsel, do you want to weigh in here? Do you want to take a couple days to review the bid? I mean, I think it's fairly obvious, but go ahead.
Yeah, I don't really see the need for that, given the circumstances under which the bid was made. I mean, you still can do that, or you could make a decision on the bid right now.
You look at somebody who's buying a piece of county property,
Right.
okay? And when they submit a bid, they don't ask the county to carry it.
Right, yeah,
Right.
that's actually, yeah. I was gonna say, the statute actually provides for that, but we did not provide for that in our notice, and it was my understanding of the consensus of the board that the board would not entertain such a,
So I don't see it as a responsive bid.
I would agree. So,
Leslie, thoughts?
I can go either way. I mean, it does appear non-responsive. It's just typically, we let legal review and give us a formal statement.
How much time do you need, Pat?
a day,
24 hours?
yeah.
Okay. So why don't we do that? Let's let legal review it and give us a formal response within 24 hours. And I would ask that please do not write us, do not call us. Let legal do what they have to do, and we'll make our decision.
We still have a motion on the table that needs either a second or to die for lack of second. And that was to allow legal to review the bid.
Okay.
I'm not gonna second that, because if that's the case, we're setting a precedent where every non-responsive bid that comes into the county, we could say, let's send it to legal to for review. And that is not our job. The bid specifications were very clear, they were published, and they weren't followed.
Okay, so the motion stands. I will second the motion. I'm not setting a precedent here, but out of consideration, 24 hours. By 2 o'clock tomorrow, we'll hear from Pat, and then we'll proceed to make our final determination. Okay, thank you, Pat.
Do you want to also continue this to 2 o'clock tomorrow?
Probably not. We'll just put on the business meeting next week.
Okay.
All right, so
No,
Aye.
aye, and the motion is carried, so legal will take the next 24 hours to review the bid, and then we will make the final determination at next week's business meeting, which is this time next Tuesday. Thank you. Okay, item number 2, open a request for qualifications. So this is the building that I had in mind. Professional Architectural Services, Attorney Center, Board of County Commissioners, and for the benefit of everyone involved, that's a building that will be constructed on our campus here. So,
Before,
go right ahead, Sean.
before we go ahead and acknowledge receipt of what looks to be 4 packets, on page 8 of the RFQ, it says 0 points means poor, not addressed, and 100 total points for excellent. And that's going to go down to 90 points because someone's math up to 100 wasn't that great. So it's not going to change. It was a double check thing. I should have triple checked it. So it's not going to change the outcome at all. It's just going to be a difference of 90 to 100 points. The weighing criteria for each individual A through G did not change, and that will not change. So after we acknowledge receipt and I verify that these were received on time, then I talked with Dave, and I'm just going to send those 4 an email explaining to them what happened, and it's not going to affect the outcome.
No,
So
I
we don't have to redo this. We'll be fine. I've never seen anybody get 100. I mean, it just, there's typos, there's all kinds of
It
things.
just means 90 is the top score you can
Yes.
possibly get instead of 100, which
Yes.
was listed in the packet.
That's correct. 90 is excellent instead of 100.
Bill, if you're okay, I'll take this one since they're all down here. All right, so
Let me give you a hand.
we're not going to open them.
Oh, we're not
Nope,
opening.
we're not opening. We don't need to because it's not a bid, it's a RFQ.
It's an RFQ, okay.
Which means, what does RFQ
ahead.
stand for?
Request for qualifications.
Huh?
Request for qualifications.
I know, but other people might not.
That's good to have that on the record. Anyway, I was going to ask Commissioner Duncan if you could have your staff just scan that bid that we got for item 1 and send it and email it to me, and I will, that way I can make sure to review it whether I'm here or at home.
Yes, will do. Thank you,
Because
Pat.
I must.
Yes.
Okay, thanks, Pat. So you're going to read the responses or the bidders into the record.
Yes, so the following have submitted packets for the request for qualifications for professional architect services for the Attorney Center. Integris Architecture, ALSC Architects, Architects West. Oh goodness, that's heavy.
Whoa.
And the final one is Lombard Conrad, or more affectionately known as LCS,
LCA.
LCA Architects.
Out of Boise?
Yeah. So I move that we acknowledge that these bids, or I'm sorry, these packets were submitted on time and that they be forwarded to our consultant, Sean Riley, for review.
I second the motion. Aye.
Aye.
Aye, and the motion is carried. Item number 3, master agreement, software and support license with Computer Arts, Inc., County Assistance. Shelly.
Afternoon. Shelly, Amos for the record. This is our yearly agreement with CAI, Computer Arts Incorporated. And this is the software that holds all of our county assistance, police holds, and our billing and our software for the system. It did not increase this year. It is the same as it was last year. And it renews October 1st.
Okay. No questions? Motion. You want
I
to take
move
it?
that we approve the master agreement with software and support licensee with Computer Arts, Inc.
Second?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, and the motion's carried. Item number 4, Fourth Amendment, KCSO, that's our Kootenai County Sheriff's Organization Services Contract with Correctional Health Partners, LLC.
Captain Deke is on the phone.
So Captain Dietz, will you handle this, please?
Yes, sir. Good morning or good afternoon, Commissioners. This is an item that was budgeted for in our budget preparation requests that have been approved already by the board. The amount of $1,866,308 is requested for the annual contract for renewal with Correctional Health Partners, and that is an all-inclusive 24/7 medical coverage along with prescriptions, and obviously we do have a within our budget preparation as well, there was a $100,000 cap for out-of-facility expenses, and we do know that we we did go higher than that this last year. But we feel that this is a solid number going into the next year, and they did adjust their staffing plan to aid in keeping more of that in-house as well by adding another RN. So I just need your approval for us to move forward with the contract for.
How much is the increase?
The increase total was, I think, around $100,000. I'm sorry, I don't have that in front of me. Can have it in just a second.
It's a little over 5%. A little over 5%.
It was
A little
4%
under
was the
4%.
total
Yeah,
increase.
yeah.
I don't know the exact dollar value. I know that's contractually, that's all they could increase from last year to this year based on the contract we've had in place for 3.5 years.
Understood.
I think it should be, sorry, I'm trying to get into last year's to see what we increased.
Okay, that's fine. If this is what we've agreed to contractually for increases, I think we're okay. Okay, motion?
Yes.
I move that we approve the Fourth Amendment for the Correctional Health Partners and the contract services for jail medical with, I guess it is Correctional Health Partners LLC.
Second the motion. Aye.
Aye.
Aye, and the motion is carried. Thank you. Item number 5,
Thank you.
renewal annual service contract for copier maintenance with Apex Office Systems District Court. Marissa?
I'm here to request renewal of our annual service contract with Apex Office Systems. They work on one copier that is not able to be covered by H&H. And I believe it has increased by a rate of 1/10 of a cent per copy, 1.6 cents per copy instead of 1.5 cents per copy.
Okay. Any questions? What would that cost us roughly? Have you any idea? So,
I don't off the top of my head, I should.
okay, that's fine. All right, motion.
I move that we approve the renewal of the annual service contract with copier maintenance, or for copier maintenance with Apex Office Systems for the district court.
Thank you.
Do you want a second?
I'm sorry, I'm second. I didn't get much sleep last night. I'm having, yes, anyway. Yes, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. Okay, so item number 6 is deferred or continued till next week. Item number 7, MOU, Memorandum of Understanding with Southwest Idaho Wireless Integrated Network for Juvenile Probation. Deb Nadeau. Hi, Deb.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. This is an MOU between Kootenai County and Kootenai County Juvenile Probation for us to have radio network access. We acquired 7 of the radios that are no longer being used by juvenile detention, and we would like to have them for our probation officers to use when we're doing special activities like working high school football games, basketball games, the county fair, things of that nature. Collin, McRoy, once this is signed, we'll be able to program them specific for our needs.
Okay.
And it'll just increase the communication with my probation officers, or if we do indeed have an emergency while we're out there doing those type of activities.
Makes sense. Now, are you reimbursing juvenile detention for these?
They were radios that they can no longer use.
Okay.
They received all their new radios with the CARE Act funds. These are the old radios that can't be encrypted.
Okay.
And all those new radios are now encrypted, so it's fine for us for what we need communication between our officers.
So it's just an asset transfer?
We did the asset transfer.
Okay,
before
cool.
it was JT, correct.
Wonderful, thank you. Motion.
I move that we approve the Memorandum of Understanding with Southwest Idaho Wireless Integrated Network and our Juvenile Probation Department.
I second the motion. Aye.
Aye.
Aye, and the motion is carried. Item number 8, Grant Project Funding Agreement 5310, Enhanced Mobility of Seniors and Individuals with Disabilities with Small Urban Idaho Transportation Department Resource Management Office. Is this Kim?
Kim's on the phone.
Yes, Kim Riley for the record. This is our agreement with ITD for the Ring-A-Ride portion of our paratransit services. The dollar amount is $152,914. The match will be provided by Area Agency on Aging, as we have done in the past. I do want to point out that the agreement is for 1 year, beginning October 1, 2020, and then after we review the status, we will use the remaining budget available and amend the agreement for year 2.
Okay. So no money out of pocket for the county?
No.
Cool. Motion.
I move that we approve the grant project funding agreement 5310, enhanced mobility of seniors and individuals with disabilities, small, urban, and the Idaho Department of Transportation.
Second?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. Thanks, Kim. Item number 9, Communications System and Services Agreement, MCC 7100 Remote Console Positions with Motorola Solutions. This is a CARES Act pre-approval, CFAC or CFAC-456/KCSO 911. Collin.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Collin McRoy for the record. This is our second project we asked for under the CARES Act that was approved by the board for funding. Actually came in quite under what we originally were asking for around $400,000. This is similar to the previous request last week. Same remote console type aspect, except on the radio side now instead of the phone. We do own 2 of these initially right now, and this would bring us to a total of 6. Total contract price is $250,787. It is under the HGAC purchasing contract, Houston-Galveston area contract that we participate in. So it is being purchased under that. Of course, first year warranty is included. Second year, this will increase our maintenance costs, which they did lay out for us. And again, the 124 enhanced budget can cover that. So.
Okay, questions?
Yeah, well, when you say CARES Act pre-approval, how do you get pre-approval on the CARES Act?
We submitted through RMO to the, and submitted the letter up, and it went to the state board at OEM, state OEM that is, that was formed.
CFAC, that's CFAC, isn't it?
Correct, and they had a discussion on it, and the board voted for pre-approval to approve those funds.
Fair enough.
That's what I wanted to know.
Thank you. Motion.
I move that we approve the Communication System and Services Agreement, MCC 7100 Remote Console Positions with Motorola Solutions using CARES Act funding.
I second the motion. Aye.
Aye.
Aye, and the motion is carried. Item number 10, release of all claims of property damage, Iron Mountain Construction, HR. Cecilia.
For the record, Cecilia Sweet, HR Generalist Compliance. Commissioners, on August 24th, there was a citizen that hit one of our county buildings, and he did report the damage to his insurance company, and they're happy to pay for it. However, they are asking us to sign a release of no further
Action.
against them. And I checked with Iron Mountain Construction, and they feel confident that all the repairs can be done within the estimate. And so they feel very confident there's no other damage. So
How big was the estimate, do you know?
$2,075.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
So typically, do you
Oh,
sign
there it
these
is.
releases before the work is done?
So we could hold off on it. That is an option. We were trying to get it taken care of. He said that he could do the repairs within 2 weeks, but we could wait.
Okay, Greg, do you have a?
Which
Can I
bill?
weigh in?
Please.
I don't know if legal's been consulted on this, and this is the first time hearing of this, but I think I would recommend is just in the best interest of the county, to not sign a release until the work is actually completed. And if everything goes smoothly and it doesn't exceed this amount, then there won't be a problem to sign it afterwards.
I'm completely fine with that. I did run it by Darren, so.
He and I didn't discuss it. We discussed a lot of things, but this one, we didn't discuss this one.
And unfortunately, we don't have our nice little handy, these are all the reviews that happened this week, so.
Okay, so defer this to next week?
Probably a couple weeks when the work is done. So,
Okay,
that's good, thank you.
all right.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks, Cecilia. Do we need a motion for that, Dave?
No.
Okay, fair enough.
Be taken up at the next available meeting.
Okay, thank you. Item number 11, approval for the purchase of a snowplow buildings and grounds. Is it Greg?
We received a new used pickup from Parks and Waterways, and we just want to see about getting a snowplow on that.
Okay,
One of the vehicles, one of our trucks we gave to the jail maintenance team, and it has a snowplow, so we just figured if we put a new snowplow on this truck, all of us will see it pretty well.
okay. In your budget?
I'm going to split it with Tom, so we should be fine on it.
Okay, how much is it, by the way?
$6,400, 65 almost.
Okay. They're not cheap, are they?
No, they're not.
Okay. Motion?
I move that we approve the purchase of the snowplow for building and grounds.
Second?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, and the motion is carried. Item number 12, Resolution 2020-62, update to capitalization threshold, fixed assets. Auditor, Dina.
Thank you, Commissioners. We're revisiting this from last week, so I wanted to know if you had any further questions or had a chance to think about and review changing our threshold from $5,000 to $10,000. So to put that in perspective, we have a $100 million budget, give or take a few million. What's a few million among friends, right? A $5,000 threshold is the equivalent of if your annual salary was $50,000, that would be $2.50. So from a materiality standpoint, we'd only be raising that to $5, basically, in the big scheme of our budget. So the purpose of that is to keep small things out of our capital assets system. So I know that there was concerns about tracking assets under $10,000. Those are usually left to the departments, such as IT. They track computers, but it's on a department-by-department basis. And from an insurance standpoint, our fixed asset accountant works with John Getty and with risk management and files a report every 2 months to update on any new assets that are added. There's also an umbrella policy for contents of the building. So from time to time, John will come out and look around and see, okay, what are the individual lists in the departments? What's contained within these buildings? What are the kinds of equipment that are in these buildings? And we have an umbrella policy for those smaller items. So the goal of this resolution is just to increase the threshold of what we're tracking and calling the big capital assets. It's to simplify record keeping and to put us more in line with what materiality is for the size of our organization. You still have a policy where any expenditure of $5,000 or over, people have to come to you and tell you that they're spending that or ask for that. So that won't change. This is a record-keeping type of thing. So any other questions, concerns? Happy to address those.
Okay, so we're covered from an insurance standpoint.
Yes.
But is there any other risk attendant?
Changing our threshold, no. So it would be for reporting. So On our financial statements, things in the capital category would be $10,000 or more. Those are the things that we depreciate. And then anything that's below that would be in our operational expenses. So there would be a small amount moving from that capital line up to the operating line.
So if we, roughly, if you can estimate this from a dollar volume perspective, what's the value of assets under $5,000?
I can't give you that number specifically, but it's not material. And many of the assets that we have on the books that we're trying to clean off the books were very, very small. We used to track everything at $1,000. So a lot of those controlled assets are coming off the books. We're trying to focus on what's material, but those small items would be captured in the operating budget.
Do they, Ide Bailey, weigh in on this?
Ide Bailey suggests that we do a percentage. For the size of our organization, $20,000 would be appropriate. We're taking a conservative approach and picking half of that.
Okay.
So would you recommend that we put forth a policy to make sure that each department is tracking the assets between 5 and 10,000?
If that's what the board would like departments to do, yes.
Say that again, Leslie.
So right now, when IT gets a $1,500 laptop,
Yeah.
they track it. Doesn't go on our depreciation list. It's not part of our capital asset.
Go ahead.
But they track it, so they already know. We already have our, cute little numbers there. I have a sticker on mine, but. So my concern is going forward that if they did an $8,000 drone or a $8,000 camera, I would want to make sure that that is tracked by the department.
Go ahead.
So that way the department would be able to say, okay, look, in the year 2020, we bought this drone for $8,000. Here's the drone. Instead of having Dina's team have to go through every couple years and go with the asset tag and match everything up, because you're not going to depreciate the drone. So essentially, it's kind of a paperwork thing on the government accounting side of it, but then on the practical side, I want to make sure that those items are still accounted for, which happens already in the departments who deal with this most of all.
Understood. So basically, are you saying we're not depreciating assets under $10,000?
We wouldn't if you made this change.
Okay. Now that's interesting. Where does IRS come into this whole picture?
It's up to the organization.
Okay, fair
There's
enough.
recommendations on service life. Usually things with a service life of 2 years or more would be depreciated, but it's kind of up to the company.
Okay. Any other?
No?
Yes, it would be in operating. Right, capital would be 10,000. Now, there is an exception for vehicles or anything that's licensed that we have to ensure that's on the road. So those, even if they're under 10,000, they would still be depreciated.
Understood.
So it's driven by bookkeeping, but it's also driven by insurance.
Okay. Fair enough. Motion?
I move that we approve the resolution 2020-62, update to capitalization threshold for fixed assets, as requested by the auditor's office.
I'll second.
Aye.
Aye.
And for clarification, that's an increase from $5,000 to a $10,000 threshold. Aye. Oh, motion carried. Okay, sorry. I didn't get enough sleep either. Okay. Item number 13, Resolution 2020-63, surplus vehicle for juvenile detention.
I think Brandy's on the phone.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Brandy Bradley for the record. Before you today, we have a resolution asking to surplus a 1995 Chevy S10 pickup truck that is no longer in use by our department. It has been offered to other county departments and no interest has been shown. We're asking that once it's surplused, it be taken to auction and then removed from the county asset list.
Got it. Motion.
I move we approve Resolution 2020-63, the surplus of vehicles at juvenile detention.
I second the motion. Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. Item number 14, Resolution 2020-64 to surplus equipment for snow groomer.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Nick Knight for the record. Commissioners, first I want to thank the Auditor's Office for taking on the extension of the threshold. That's going to be very helpful for departments like ours, so thank you for your work on that. Commissioners, I have a standard surplus of implements from the snow groomer department. As per policy, we offered up these drag implements to other departments with no takers. In addition to that, we received an email from the State of Idaho Parks and Recreation Department that authorizes us to dispose of those as we see fit.
Okay. Motion. Okay, you go.
I move that we approve Resolution 2020-64 to surplus equipment in the snow groomer department.
I second the motion. Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. Item number 15, Resolution 2020-65, 2.4 acres for the Armory land purchase, BOCC.
Yeah, Stephen, are you still on the line? So this is the resolution that allows us to go forward with using the general fund tax dollars in the airport's budget to purchase the land under the Armory. So it'll be done in two segments, and the resolution outlines the fact that if we are unable to come up with the second payment in next year's fiscal budget, that it will just remain under the control of the airport and the lease will continue until it's completely paid off.
Okay.
And then Dave and Stephen both helped to craft this resolution.
And how much is the purchase?
So $294,000, which is based on the 2020 appraisal. And so this year will be $161,000, next year will be $131,000.
Got it. Okay. Okay.
Go ahead, Leslie, because we probably want the numbers in there.
Sure. I move that we approve Resolution 2020-65 for the purchase of the 2.4 acres, the Armory land purchase from the airport ALP plan in the amount of $294,000, of which $161,000 will be part of the 2021 budget year, and then provided that the appropriation is made in 2022, it'll be $131,000 to complete the purchase.
Good motion. I second it. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Final item, number 16, Resolution 2020-66, designate polling places. Shelly, Amos for elections. Whoopee.
Different hat. So this is before you to show you the polling places for approval for this November 3rd, 2020 general election. We have changed 3 of them. Number 42 and 43 were at Community United Methodist Church, and we are now changing that, hopefully, to Lake City High School. And the last one is number 68, and that was at Crossroads Baptist Church, and we are looking at Medicine Mountain Grange in Metamont.
So we're actually proceeding with the 70 polling locations
Yes, we are.
as normal.
Correct.
That's good.
Okay. Guess there's nothing to add, is there?
It's good, and it's a lot of work.
And how many registered voters for the benefit of everyone listening? What are we, 90,000 now?
We are at 98,258 as of this morning.
Whoa, so 7,000 in the last month.
We will soon be over 100,000.
And we have surpassed Canyon County for
Yes, we have.
For everyone's benefit, Canyon County's 210,000 population. We're about just a little under 170, but we have more registered voters now.
So that's amazing. So we must be over 170,000, because there's no way that there's less than 70,000 kids and people who aren't voting.
In 2 days, we had 1,700 registered voters.
Wow.
Very good.
Incredible.
Good job.
So it's hopping. It's very busy. People are going out to vote, so yes.
Okay. Thank you, Shelley.
Okay.
So I guess we need a motion.
Yep.
I move that we approve Resolution 2020-66 for the designated polling places for the Elections Department.
I'll second that.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, and the motion is carried. So that concludes the action item segment of our meeting.
I'm going to make a public comment.
Okay, and I'm going to move on to public comment. Commissioner Bill Brooks has made a request. Go right ahead,
And
sir.
I'll keep it short. With the music conservatory, I'm in favor of a music conservatory, not there. I also wanted to compliment Commissioner Duncan on an excellent My Turn piece that was in the paper today. I kept reading it, like, there's going to be something I disagree with. Wait, and there was nothing that I disagree. So either you're on the right track or you're really on the wrong track. But it was a well-written piece that made sense. As far as what we went through today, this gets deeper and deeper. I do not believe it's the obligation, right, or anything else of the county to be financing anybody, any nonprofit, any private citizen, any developer. I think just the request is dangerous. Granting this request is suicidal, because I can see anybody coming here saying, I want to buy that, and I expect you to finance it over time. It really comes down to, it's not much different than renting it to buy, lease purchase. And I am opposed to it, and I think it would be upheld in court. This is not a legal use of county funds.
Darren Murphy.
I'm sorry, did somebody?
Yeah, sorry, Darren, we're running a little bit behind. Do you want us to let you know when the 2:45 starts?
Oh, sure.
Or you can just hang out. We won't be too much longer, I don't think.
Nope.
I'll just hang out.
Okay. Any other? Julaine? Okay, I'm going to limit this to 3 minutes because we have to move
I
on
kept
from
mine
here.
short.
Yes, you did. Go right
Yes,
ahead,
I'm
Julaine.
not going to be long. I want to thank the commissioners for supporting us. We have been dearly treated by you and helping us bring this music conservatory here. And I feel like opening the building, coming to our concerts, there was just a great show of support, and I want to thank you for that. This morning until 12:40, we had this letter, which I came and got you, which you're more than welcome to open. But we adhered to all of your. We have a full cash proposal right there. At 12:40, we got a call from Ty, and his bank decided that he wasn't sure about the nonprofit. And so in all honesty, we didn't hand you that letter. We created another way to fund this project. Ty said, I'm still very willing to put down the $100,000, and if the county gave us a little bit more time, then, you know, definitely we will be able to come up with the cash. And that's exactly what we did. John Swallow actually put this little plan together for us, and we would include 4%, you know, a 4% increase on top of all the money that, you know, didn't come in until it came in. But you can imagine, like, with 35 minutes to go, our plan dropped out because there was a bank that decided and they went clear up to the CFO, and he said, I just don't feel good about it right this moment. So we scrambled. Like in 35 minutes, we came up with another plan. And that's what we presented to you, and we totally respect everything, Bill, that you said, and Chris and Leslie. We adhered to all of those deed restrictions, and the full cash bid is what we handed. Well, actually, my husband and I came down, and it's dated on that letter, 10/41 is when we handed you that full cash, and then I had to come and change it out. So I just want you to know we were honest about the whole thing. We were
That's
prepared
fine.
until at the last moment we had to change gears, and just want to thank you, and in 24 hours we'll wait to hear from you.
Yes,
As her
sir.
husband, who had to live with that consternation here the last
Yeah,
few hours.
Can we have your name and address, please?
Richard Dance, same address as
Oh,
Lane's
okay.
in Hayden,
Welcome.
Idaho. Thank you. We had a loan 1141. We haven't received a decline letter yet. we may be able to go back to them. The problem is when you're making a loan to an individual, the bank looks at who the tenants are. And so if it had been a residential tenant, they probably would have approved it. If it had been a commercial business that they knew something about, they can prove it. They didn't know anything about the Music Conservatory of Coeur d'Alene. They haven't read about it. They don't know where we are. They don't know that we make our money not by donations, but by services and teaching students and things like that. So we're not just asking for donations. We might still have a chance to get it approved. We're going to go back and try to talk to them tomorrow as best we can before 2 o'clock, and we could get back to you then. But at the present time, we didn't have it, and in spite of having a decline letter, we didn't want to be untruthful with you at where we were at that particular time. If you decided we could have a few days or a few months or something like that, I think we could actually pull it off, because people believe in us, but they don't believe as strongly when you haven't got it working. We've had so many people come up in the last few days thinking we almost had the building that have offered $10,000, or they're offered $50,000 if we needed more down for the bank to approve the loan. So we have lots of people like that in the works, but we couldn't definitely say at this hour, given at 12:30, we heard that news, so we could do that. And that's why we presented what we did. And you have the original one that we submitted so you can see what we did. But Julian, in honesty, said, I need to tell the truth and let you know what's happening. Thank you.
Well, we appreciate it. Thank you very much.
So I want to make one distinction. So the bid had to be in by 2 o'clock today, the financing at 5 o'clock. So what we also got an opinion on was the fact that a commitment letter, that means that all the cash would be deposited upon closing, could also potentially suffice. That's why I wanted to go to legal and not just say no, because I want a final recommendation from legal that says, yes, this does fit, no, it does not fit, and go on from there. And we will not be, our legal's getting back to us by 2 o'clock tomorrow. We will not address this until next Tuesday at a business meeting. So that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah, and usually even in conventional bid situations, we talk about cash or cash equivalent. So if you have a mortgage commitment, that's the same as cash. That's a cash equivalent. So somebody coming to an auction, and let's say it's bids $200,000 and says, here's a check for 50, the other 150 is available within 15 days, and they have a commitment letter, that's as good as cash. But it has to be a bona fide lender with a definitive commitment. But okay. Precisely. Okay. Right. We thank you. Go right ahead, Deb.
I have two statements to make. One very brief, and the other one is something I'd like to read into the record. The first statement I have is to point out that it was an irregularity with the publishing of the public auction. Notice? Yes. I went back last night and listened, and at 7 minutes and a few seconds, I raised the question about, do we have to have all of the money by the day of the auction? There was some negotiation going on. I think Pat was on the phone, and Pat commented and said, it can be, you statutorily have the ability to sell on a contract.
Okay.
There was nothing ever said about 5 o'clock. Leslie later, at the end of the meeting, made a motion. She read what she wanted in the minutes. There was nothing about 5 o'clock. You go back to the minutes and listen at 7 minutes and a few seconds after, nothing about 5 o'clock. When Leslie makes the motion, nothing about 5 o'clock.
Okay.
Okay, so that's all I want to say. I'm objecting to what you put in the paper. It was not what was discussed in the meeting on September the 9th.
Except that that's not really material. Because
Well-
what we're saying here is that if you had a bona fide bid and a lender commitment, the 5 o'clock question essentially, it's not even relevant. Because if you came forward and said, okay, here's the loan commitment, we can close this within 15 days, $100,000 down, done.
Nevertheless, that should not have been in the paper. I do not know who put it in the paper, but I would ask that you go back through your chain of command and find out how that got there.
To 5
Deborah,
o'clock.
you mentioned the 7-minute mark. What date was that?
I believe it was September 9th.
Okay.
Okay.
And then at the end of the same meeting.
Okay, fair enough.
All right.
Keep
So,
going. Go ahead.
What I would like to read into the record is something that you are all obligated towards. And maybe you haven't read the ordinance. I know that most of you have been in your positions for a little over a year. And that is in response to what Bill said about that you don't have an obligation to, in this matter, be it historic or for the music conservatory. But are you familiar with Ordinance 81 of Kootenai County that was pursuant to Idaho Code Section 674603? I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's multiple pages.
Give us the
but
essence of it.
On the first page, it says that the ordinance has established a program for historic preservation to promote the use and conservation of the county's cultural resources for the education, inspiration, pleasure, and enrichment of the citizens of this county.
Deb, I'm going to respond to you. If we had purchased it with that intent, I can accept that. It was never purchased with that intent. It
Okay,
was
well,
purchased for the use of the county as either a parking lot or to build, but go ahead.
Okay, I'm asking you now to stand by your ordinances. Under number 1 on that same page, it says to designate, preserve, promote, and perpetuate those sites, areas, and buildings that are significant elements of the county, states, and the nation's cultural, architectural, historic heritage. You have a letter that was delivered from the Preservation Idaho.
Yes.
That supports exactly that much. I realize that many of you may not have grown up in North Idaho. And so for you, historic is maybe 200 years old. North Idaho, Coeur d'Alene did not even become a first-class city until 1906. That's fairly recent. That house was built in 1908. This is our history. This is our heritage. This is our culture. And it is required of you to bring inspiration and pleasure to and education to the citizens of this county. Now, on the last page of this, or towards the last page, it defines historic property as a building, structure, area, or site that is significant in the history, the architecture, or culture of this county, its communities, the state, or the nation. You have in writing from the state of Idaho, it is significant to the state of Idaho. It does qualify for Category C with the Idaho State Historical Society, and it's pre-qualified for designation on the National Historic Registry, and I have that letter here also. It was sent to you last spring, but maybe you have forgotten that, but I want it for the record also. So what you are doing by not considering options to preserve that house is you are going against what I just read to you.
Thank you.
So we'll make copies. Anyone care to respond?
Well, I'm happy to look at the ordinance and to look at the other information that, I am familiar with the letters from, of which Mrs. Mitchell spoke.
So am I, yep.
Yeah, but that's,
But, the ultimate responsibility that we have is to the taxpayer. We're not talking about a $25,000 or $30,000 donation or concession here. We're talking about a piece of property that we paid, my memory serves me right, $420,000. It was purchased with an intended purpose in mind. We looked at the historic registry to make sure that it was not listed as such, and it wasn't at the time. And our first responsibility is to the taxpayers. We take on a lot of community programs. We reevaluate them every year at budget time. And to the best of my knowledge, we haven't dropped any, and we continue the support of those organizations. So I think we do what we can as a county. Yeah, maybe we can do more, but I don't know that this necessarily obligates us to make a donation or a set-aside of this caliber. Realizing that you're right, it is a younger history. I spent 20 years in New England, and your point is valid, Deb. I'm used to, I shouldn't say used to, but I lived in villages where the oldest properties were early 1700s, but I appreciate the difference as well. And I realize it's a rich heritage, and I realize the essence of the structure, but at the same time, we have to justify our expenditures to the public. And that's where I'm coming from, and I do understand and appreciate the input. Anything else, Bill?
Yeah, I would be very happy if today a bid had come through to be able to purchase that house outright. Very happy. I think would have made a lot of people very happy. But it didn't happen. And the bottom line here is, on behalf of the people of the county, and it's oft used and often overused, but show me the money. And you have had extension after extension that I made the motion to give you those extensions, and the other commissioners agreed, and nothing happened. So I'm pretty much done with it.
Anyway.
Pardon? Well, I'm sorry about that.
Okay, so we need to stop. We need to stop at this point. Okay, so that takes care of public comment. Time is exactly 3 p.m. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.